Hello, my name is David Hester, and I will be your teacher for the next 6 weeks in marriage and the family. I hope that you have looked at the website and that you've taken the time to examine the assignments, that you've browsed through the course documents, and I really hope that you have looked at the syllabus already. What I want to do in this video is to go through the syllabus, and I would like to explain to you in more detail the assignments and what is expected of you. So I want you, if you will, to open up the syllabus if you don't already have it open on your laptop or your iPad or your device or your desktop. And I want you to look with me at the syllabus. I have it up on my desktop right as we speak so I can look at it as we're going through. Now, as you know, this is an 8 or 6 week, that is a 6 week class, this being the summer semester. BI 3311, Marriage and Family Relations. And the purpose of the course is to acquaint you with what the Bible teaches regarding the origin and purpose of marriage, and to study current research that will help the student prepare for a successful marriage. Now, since this is a 6 week online course, it's structured differently from a regular face-to-face full semester class. All the assignments will be posted on the Blackboard class site, and all communication by me to you will be by email. That's very important. It's very important that you get that fixed. If you do not have your Faulkner email set up, you need to set it up now. It's vital that you not only set up your email account, but that you use your email account. Now, the vast majority of you have no problem with this, but there are always some in every semester and every section of this class that I teach. There are always a couple that don't have their email set up. So I need you to make sure that you have that. And all communication will be done through the Faulkner email account. So if you have other email accounts that you normally use, do not use them in this class. I will not accept communication from other email accounts than the Faulkner email. So it's very important for you to understand. The student, that's you, is expected to keep up with his or her assignments. And that is a very important fact to point out. You will be making sure that you turn in your assignments. The discussion board questions that we'll talk about in just a few minutes are designed to facilitate discussion between the students. And I hope that you will take full advantage of that, not just for the grade, even though there is a grade attached to it, but to communicate with one another. The 3 to 5 page essay, of which we will speak of momentarily, is not a research paper. It is to get you to think through the question of what it takes to be a good spouse and to help you express your thoughts in a grammatically correct, clear manner. Then we have course objectives to demonstrate an appreciation of the Bible as God's blueprint for marriage. This will be evaluated by online questions covering selected biblical passages. Then to identify the meaning and purpose of marriage according to the Bible. This will be evaluated by the online questions covering selected biblical passages. Then to articulate attitudes and attributes that will make you more mature and marriageable. This will be evaluated by the 3 to 5 page essay and the discussion board questions. And to consider the importance of building a marriage relationship on love and integrity. This will be evaluated by the online questions covering the textbook by Nick and Nancy Stennett, about which more we will say momentarily. And then to integrate strategies that lead to strong marriages, and this will be examined by the final exam. The course premise, philosophy, and methodology. Marriage is God's idea. He has provided us His plan for successful marriage in His Word. Our primary emphasis in this course will be to better understand God's plan and how that plan translates into daily life. Deciding whom to marry and when to marry have eternal ramifications. So all of us in this class should give proper priority to our study together. Comments, questions, helpful ideas from you I will encourage that. I want you to send in those comments to me when you feel like you need to say something. I won't mind at all. Then we have the course policies, netiquette, if I can say it right, netiquette expectations. Then the content outline, preparation for marriage, God's plan, selection of a mate, what the Bible says about sex, sexual relations in marriage, and the best available research concepts on marriage success. That is a general outline of what you're going to be looking at this semester. Required textbooks. First and foremost is the Bible. That's what we rely on in everything that we do, but especially in our marriage relationships. If your marriage is not based on the foundation of the Word of God, then you won't have a successful marriage from the start. But then the second textbook that we're using is by the Stennetts, and it is Intimate Relationships, Marriages, and Families. Oxford published this and published it in 2017. That's the latest edition that you're going to be using. The ISBN number is included with the book information itself. So if you want to order this from Amazon, you can, but you need to get the most recent edition. I believe that's the 9th edition, if I'm not mistaken. It's the 2017 edition because the questions, of which we will speak of momentarily, are based off of that edition. So it's very important that you get that correct. Then selected material from me that is on the Blackboard website, about which we will say more shortly. Then I have suggested resources, research help, 24/7, Ask a Librarian, reference assistance. Now, course requirements and evaluation. Very important that we get this fixed. Formal assessment, online questions. Included will be questions covering the textbook and selected biblical passages that pertain to marriage. This is not a test. It is open book to ensure that you are reading the material. In order to receive an A, you've got to answer correctly 90% of the questions. Now, let me tell you specifically what this is about. The textbook questions cover every chapter, 17 of them. Now you think, oh, that's a lot for 6 weeks. If you start now reading the textbook chapters and answering the questions, there's only 3 questions, really, except for the first 2 chapter assignments. There's only 3 questions per chapter. I do require that you answer substantively. In other words, 1 to 2 sentences per answer will not cut it. In fact, the requirements are included in the textbook chapter summary. How many words you've got to use for each question. So make sure you pay attention to that. Also pay attention to the number of pages read. That counts in on the points. Now, someone has said in the past, well, I can just lie and put the number of pages I'm supposed to have read, but I didn't really read them. Well, if you didn't read the textbook question of the textbook pages, it will come through in the answers on the questions. Even though you might have said that you read the pages, if you don't know the textbook chapter, you're not going to answer the questions or you won't give a substantive answer. Bottom line is, if you read the textbook chapters, if you read the pages, and you answer the questions, you'll get a perfect score in every one of the chapter assignments. So this is to really ensure that you read the textbook, and it's an outstanding book. I recommend it highly. Steve Wages, who is the director of the Cloverdale Center for Family Strengths, he recommends this book highly. He uses it in his classes, and we're using it in this one. Now, the Bible questions, the biblical passage questions, self-explanatory, covering both the Old Testament and the New Testament. There are a few questions in that document that I want to know the Greek word in certain passages and the definition of it. If you Google that word, you will find it. If you don't know Greek, don't worry. Take that word, put it in Google search, and you will come up with the word itself, what it means, And the significance, of course, you can then apply to the verse under consideration. So don't freak out when you see a question about Greek, because it's not that difficult really to find the answer for those questions in particular. So I do not require that these questions be turned in every week. There is a deadline, a hard, fast deadline, but there's a deadline at the near the end of the 6 weeks to turn in all the questions. But I'm not requiring that the chapter 1 has to be due this certain day, chapter 2 this certain day, chapter 3 this certain day, on progressing through the 6 weeks. You just need to get them done and get them in by the due date. That applies to the textbook. It applies to the biblical passage questions. So make sure you get that done. Essay number 2, 3 to 5 pages, double spaced. Please double space it. And it's an essay on the topic, what does it take to be a good spouse? In order to receive an A, the student must meet the requirements of the rubric that is posted on the Blackboard class site under course content. Please, please, please read that rubric. It is under course content. You download it, you read it. That spells out what I require for the essay. I mainly grade the essays on grammatical mistakes. That is, if you make a lot of grammatical errors like misspelled words, inappropriate punctuation, run-on sentences, sentence fragments, all of those things together will count off on a paper, on any paper, but especially for an essay. And of course, remember, this is not a research paper. You're not doing a research paper. You're not putting footnotes, endnotes, bibliography, nothing like that. This is your opinion. I want to know what you think on the subject. And it must be at least 3 pages, at least. Anything short of 3 pages, you'll get counted off. So it's got to be at least 3 full pages. Notice, full pages. Not 2.5, not 2 1/4, not 2 3/4, 3 full pages. Make sure you get that done. Otherwise, you should make okay on it, because you've gotten this far in college in writing. You should be able to write an essay on this subject from your own opinion, your own experience, without much of a problem. Some students have decided to interview their parents or grandparents, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to do that, that is perfectly all right with me. That makes for an interesting paper, in fact. Quite often. If you have your own experience in marriage, if you are married yourself and you want to give your own experience with you and your spouse, perfectly all right. It's up to you. Just make sure it's at least 3 full pages and that you go by the rubric, and you should do fine. Discussion board. There will be 4 questions posted during this 6 weeks. So make sure you're aware of that. There is one discussion board question that is introducing yourself. That doesn't count in the graded section of the discussion board. But I do want you to post about yourself on the discussion board. But there are 4 questions during the 6 weeks that you must answer. You've got to answer them, engage in discussion by that method. You must respond in a 6 to 8 sentence paragraph to every question. 6 to 8 sentences. And then I say reply to at least 3 fellow students. That's to encourage interaction. Then the final exam covers specified questions from PowerPoint material that I have posted. The format includes true, false, and multiple choice. In order to make an A, you must answer correctly 90% of the questions. And again, that's open notes. So when I send you the final exam by email, I might add, I've had students say, can't find the final exam on the class site because it's not there. It is sent by email to you about 1 week or so ahead of the due date. So when you receive that email, Faulkner email, by the way, let's again stress, when you receive that final exam by Faulkner email, make sure you don't delete it. Make sure you don't put it in a spam folder. Make sure you have it, and that you then use the material on the course content, the PowerPoints, to answer the questions. So, determination of the grade will be based on the final exam, of course, the online questions, the essay, and the discussion board questions. Let me add too about the discussion board. I almost forgot. When a discussion board question is posted, you have 1 week to answer the question. If you wait longer than 1 week to answer a question, there will be points counted off. And I normally count off 10% of the possible grade for that discussion board question if you are late. So if it's 50 points per question, if you are late, then I count off 5 points automatically. And then the longer you wait, more points count off. So if you wait until the very last moment of the 6 weeks to turn in all of your discussion board questions, guess what? You're going to get a very low score. So make sure you answer that discussion board question soon after it's posted. Then you won't have to worry about it. So the grade average, 90 to 100% A, 80 to 89% B, and so on, 10-point scale. Then I have the weekly objectives listed from weeks 1 to 6. Now, course calendar. Since this is an online 6-week course, the deadlines are different from the traditional semester course. So it's even more imperative that you take responsibility to turn in all work on time. There are no weekly due dates except for the discussion board questions. As we've already mentioned, they are due a week after they are posted. All other work is due by the date specified. You may turn in your work at any point before the due dates. If you get through with your work early, turn it in. That's fine. That's good for you. Good for me. Helps me out. All work is to be submitted through Blackboard under the assignment section. There will be places to submit your work there. If you have issues, contact me. I'll be happy to help by email. July 20th, the essay is due by 5 o'clock. July 27th, answers to all the online questions are due by 5 o'clock p.m. August 3rd, final exam due by 5 o'clock p.m. The final exam, as we've mentioned, will be emailed to you a week ahead of the due date, and it is open notes. And my contact information is at the bottom, very bottom of the syllabus. You can contact me by email. Is the quickest and best way to contact me. dhester@faulkner.edu. I do have office hours here at the Harris Parker building. Normally I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes I'm here other days of the week. But I'm in room 234, and I'm usually in my office in the morning from about, say, 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning to about noon. So if you need to come and talk to me in person, then you can do that. And then the phone number, a direct line to my office, is also listed in the contact information. So that tells you what we expect of you in this class. And I certainly hope that your work benefits you. That's what we want it to do. We want this work to benefit you in your prospective marriage if you're not married, or if you are married, that it will strengthen you. If you have been married and are unfortunately divorced or separated, we hope that this material will help you in your Christian walk, that you might know how best to serve the Lord faithfully in your own life. I hope that this will benefit all of us. And the textbook, I know you will get much out of that textbook. And most important textbook of all, God's Word, the Bible. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me, feel free to contact me, and I'll be very glad to respond to you very quickly. Normally when I receive an email, I respond that same day, if not within the hour. Because I'm constantly, my wife can tell you, I'm constantly checking my email. I'm an infernal checker of email. So if you email me, I'll get back with you fairly quickly. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoy the 6 weeks. I know that you'll do fine. You'll do great. And I'm here to help. So hope you have a great day, and we will see you online.